Yes, guys, we're going to run you through Sean's mad transformation of dropping £50 since the back end of last year. He's not needed to sacrifice things he enjoys, whether it's a meal out, his social life, he's progressed his career, and he's also gone through a phase now where he's starting to build muscle. You can see the physical transformation here. Absolutely mental stuff. I want to run you through before, after. I want to run you through some clear strategies for exactly how we've managed to achieve this together. So before he came to us, his biggest problem was he was always up and down like a yo-yo when it came to fat loss phases. Sean would lose 5 kilograms, then he would end up back at square one. Now, the brilliant thing here is Sean decided to go and attack this problem with the highest possible effort. You know, I see two guys in this scenario. Guy number A, letter A, always says to himself, I'll wait to do this. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'll get started over on Monday. And with that mindset of always waiting for the perfect time, never make any progress. Now, Sean was the complete opposite of that. He knew his sabotage, he knew his problem was always getting to a certain level and never being able to kick above there. So he decided to start attacking the problem with level 10 effort. Since that point, when he reached out to me, we've managed to completely flip this on its head. We've taken him from low motivation to getting promotions at work, feeling confidence in himself, always whenever he sets the bar and he achieves one target, moving on to that next target. So let's run you through some strategies for exactly how we've managed to achieve this. So we took Sean into an initial phase 1 approach. Now, what we wanted to make sure through this phase was we were balancing his career. He's got a very busy career. He works night shifts, he works day shifts. I built together a route for Sean that suited his lifestyle. So nutrition-wise, he wasn't putting much time into this. You know, if we have a look at the hybrid nutrition system, what we're looking for when it comes to hybrid nutrition is we're looking to take thinking and guesswork away from it. So calorie tracking can work brilliant for some people, but when you have a really busy career and you want to double down and just focus on your career, you want to focus on losing weight, a system that works fantastic in that scenario is having 2 breakfasts that work well for you, exact same number of calories, exact same amount of protein, doing that for your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. It takes thinking, it takes guesswork away from you. So that's what we did for Sean through the opening phase. Anytime he got bored with his nutrition, all we would do is program a new breakfast, the same calories, the same protein. So that was how we managed to balance throughout phase 1, his nutrition with his career, which directly increased his energy. The minute he was training more, he was more hydrated. That was what was allowing him to show up better to work, show up better to himself, increase his confidence. And obviously, with the calorie deficit we're providing there as well, starting to drop that 8 pounds within the space of 4 weeks. The key part to this is actually being ready for the next step. So when we program nutrition and training throughout phase 1, we want to make sure nutrition, you aren't completely dumping your calories. Realistically, if we can be looking for somewhere between a 300 and 500 calorie deficit throughout that opening phase, and you can have activity as your biggest priority. You know, if you're a career-driven guy, you don't want to be just dumping your calories down to the floor at all times. You want to focus on the way you feel throughout that opening phase. You want to focus on increasing your cardio. You don't want to focus too much on adding loads of time into your program. So I would really recommend you find that balance between 3 to 4 workouts in phase 1. It's exactly what we did for Sean. Then we're looking at the back end of them workouts to start building you up to 10, 20, 30 minutes of cardio, whatever you can fit in your routine, because that means you don't need to dump your calories down. It means you can keep your calories higher, you can have your energy higher, and on top of that as well, you're working on your fitness levels. But the key part of this is being ready for the next step. And when you have calories a bit higher, you're always going to be ready for the next step. You know, you're always going to be excited for it because you're not massively hungry. You're recovering well from your sessions as well. So as we take him into this next phase, we understand this is going to be the final part of fat loss. So this phase took Sean up to a couple of weeks before Christmas last year. I always find that really pushing before a bit of a social where you're going to have more of a maintenance can work really well. So if you're starting this now in September, you start phase 1 in September, October and November, you go through this acceleration phase here. And then what you're going to do is go into more of a maintenance phase through Christmas. If you've got more fat to lose at that point, which for Sean, we went back into another fat loss phase, then you go back into that phase 2. You go back and accelerate with the fat loss. And just having this was the exact thing that stopped Sean from being, I'll lose 5 kilos and I'll go back to square one. What we were always doing is like, Sean, you're getting towards the end of phase 1, bro. Now, phase 2 is going to last you this exact amount of time. At the back end of it, you're going to have more calories. We're going to focus on performance here. And because we're always showing him the fact that he's going to enjoy his training program over the next 8 weeks, but he's going to have light at the end of the tunnel, he's going to have a freshen up within the space of 8 weeks. He's going to start really looking forwards to what's to come. Because he's buzzing about what's to come. Think about when a football team gets to the Champions League quarterfinals. It doesn't take you much motivation to watch them games because you're buzzing about what's to come. You're buzzing about watching the game. You're buzzing about now, but you're buzzing about the future. That's what you want to start creating for your journey throughout here. Now, in terms of your phase training, I really recommend that you have a training program for the opening 4 weeks. If it's rolling brilliant, you're loving it, keep rolling that. I would after 4 weeks lock into, right, can I change anything here? Because that's your last real challenge. When you go into this acceleration phase, you start really putting the accelerator down with fat loss. I don't recommend that throughout that kind of week 4 to week 12 of that fat loss phase, you change your workouts up too much because it will take you a couple of weeks to adapt. So what we did was as soon as we got to phase 2, we switched the workout slightly. We had a look at what was working well, what he wasn't progressing so much on, made a couple of simple tweaks into his program to build enjoyment, actually improve his performance and his recovery, and it allowed him to get into the shape of his life. Now, as we entered Christmas, you want to go into this next phase. Now, this next phase can be different for other people. You're going to go into that maintenance phase. Now, the clear benefits of you going into that next phase is you're going to regulate your hunger hormones a lot. So you have a hunger hormone called ghrelin. The more you start to give calories, you can actually start to feel a bit hungrier through that time frame. So you want to keep your food groups very similar. And that is why hybrid nutrition works fantastic. I recommend you keep your food groups as similar as possible across the board. 80% of the time, 90% of the time, however much you can stick to it, then you give yourself that slight little bit of flexibility. Very important when you have that 10-20% worth of flexibility, that you're not being a complete twat when it comes to your nutrition there. But it allows consistency, it allows you to stick to the plan, it allows you to actually enjoy what you're doing. And then when you do reverse your calories up, because you're having similar food groups, you can still digest it well, and you suddenly don't start gaining tons of weight. Because the minute you start changing up tons of food groups, when you start increasing calories, you start overeating, you start over consuming, and you gain too much body weight in that reverse phase. As soon as Sean had finished his fat loss phase, he'd had a maintenance, he then went back into his fat loss phase. He completed that through January all the way up to March. As soon as he was complete with that, as soon as he was as lean as he was happy with, we got him into this position here. He then goes into his muscle building phase. And that is the key difference. If you're a guy watching this who wants to work on his career, then first things first, what you need to do is put your training, put your health first, put your nutrition first, your recovery, your sleep. These need to be the things that you're putting first. If you're finding that you're not getting the progression you want over the long term, then what you need to start doing is start phasing your training. Start getting yourself excited for it. If you're a football fan, get yourself as excited for your training as you do for the Champions League. Make sure your current phase is exciting, but make sure your next phase excites you as well. Find the nutrition system that works well for yourself. So hybrid nutrition is brilliant, but also tracking your calories is brilliant as well. So I recommend you look at what you're doing. Have you got time to track your calories? If you do, perfect, go and do that. If you don't, go more towards the hybrid nutrition system. Make your training enjoyable and get accountability as well, because the fact that we had all these tools was superb, but I was in Sean's corner giving him a check-in every week and holding him accountable on a day-to-day basis. So that is a summary of Sean's journey. In terms of next steps, depends when you're watching this. I would love it, guys, if you could just reach out to me and ask me questions, because I love helping guys who are driven. I like helping guys who are career driven, who want to work on their health, who want to work on their energy, who want to optimize their entrepreneur cup, want to show up more for their family. You're the exact type of guy I love helping if that is yourself. So reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. If I have availability while you're watching this and you reach out to me, I am more than happy to jump on a call with you, build you a game plan. And something I'll always say is if a decision is reversible, the biggest risk is moving too slow. You reaching out to me and dropping me a message on Instagram, there is absolutely no risk of it. You reach out, worst case scenario, you get to speak to someone who's like-minded to yourself, and I can build you a game plan. Hope you enjoyed that one today, guys, and I look forward to hearing from you.